Wemby is on another planet right now. Victor Wembanyama just dropped one of the most outrageous season openers the NBA's seen in years. 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, 0 turnovers, and a plus-minus of 31 in a blowout win over Dallas. That's not just a strong performance. That's the kind of stat line that makes history books nervous. And yes, it's the most points ever scored in a season opener by a Spurs player, ever. 15 for 21 from the field is 71.4% shooting. Combine that with the free throws and threes, and it pushes his true shooting percentage to 77.4. That's cartoon numbers. That's efficiency that should not exist. He didn't just torch Dallas, he vaporized them, and the craziest part, he did it without turning the ball over. Not once. 40 points, 15 boards, 3 blocks, no turnovers. You don't see that? That stat line might as well be written in hieroglyphics. Most players would need a week to stack those numbers, and Wemby did it in one night while barely breaking a sweat. At halftime, he was already at 21 points and 8 rebounds. That was just the preview. The full-length feature in the second half turned into a solo act, with the Mavericks watching helplessly as the entire building turned into Wembanyama's personal dunk contest. It looked like Dallas forgot to read the scouting report. He hit mid-range jumpers, Euro-stepped through traffic, dunked in transition, and blocked shots like it was choreographed. Defensively, he didn't need to get 10 blocks to prove his value. The 3 he had were loud, violent rejections that swung momentum and erased any rhythm Dallas tried to build. But more than that, it was how many shots he altered without even touching them. He made guys hesitate. He made guards kick out instead of going up. That's the kind of defense that doesn't always show up in a box score, but it absolutely showed up in the plus 31 he finished with. The Spurs won the game 125-92. That's a 33-point beatdown to open the year. And yes, it's just one game, but let's not pretend this didn't look like a statement. Dallas rolled out their shiny new rookie Cooper Flag, who finished the first half with 0 field goals and 2 turnovers. Meanwhile, Wemby was out there taking a personal victory lap around the entire arena. This wasn't just a hot shooting night or a fluke run. This was the result of months of frustration, rehab, and preparation after his last season got cut short. That blood clot in his shoulder last year put the brakes on a promising second season. But if this is how he's coming back, the rest of the league might need to schedule some group therapy. And don't overlook the fact that he wasn't doing this solo. Castle chipped in 13 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists. Devin added 9 points in the first half, but Wemby was the gravitational center of it all. Every time he touched the ball, Dallas had to shift. Double teams came late, rotations failed. He punished mismatches, bullied smaller defenders, and shot over bigger ones like they weren't there. The footwork, the balance, the shot selection, it's all catching up with the physical tools now. His guard-like movements at 7'4" are no longer just a viral highlight. They're consistent weapons. He's creating space like a wing and finishing like a center. And when those threes start dropping at a consistent clip, good luck. The Spurs didn't just win a game tonight, they announced themselves. And Wemby's performance made it loud. This was his 5th career 40-point game. And yes, that includes the 50-point explosion against the Wizards last year, but this one might carry more weight because it wasn't just a big number, it was complete control. The 0 turnovers matter. A player that involved in every possession, scoring 40, rebounding, and making plays without giving the ball away once, that's discipline. That's awareness. That's someone who's ready to run the show. And the efficiency? Oh man, the efficiency. 71% from the field. He didn't just chuck shots up. He got to his spots, waited for the defense to bite, and attacked. Every time they gave him even an inch. There was no wasted motion, no heat check threes, just cold, calculated destruction. He even looked comfortable handling the ball under pressure. When defenders closed out hard, he pumped, drove, and finished. When help rotated, he kicked it out. He didn't need flashy passes, he made smart ones. And when the moment called for it, he took over without hesitation. The Spurs moved the ball well as a team, but everything revolved around him. The gravity he brings changes the floor for everyone. And tonight, it broke Dallas open completely. This wasn't just a return, it was a reminder. Everyone remembered the highlights. Everyone remembered the hype. But now, we're seeing the results. We're seeing what it looks like when the physical freak of nature pairs up with experience, confidence, and decision-making. And it's terrifying. You could see the frustration on the Mavericks' faces. Wemby dictated the pace from the jump. Even when the Mavs tried to bring extra bodies in the paint, he either stepped out and knocked down jumpers or powered through contact at the rim. There's no blueprint for stopping him because there's no one like him. You can't play him like a guard. You can't treat him like a traditional center. You can't go small on him. And you definitely can't try to outrun him in transition. The fact that he's doing this in year 3 is wild enough, but doing it in a season opener after a long recovery makes it even crazier. Most guys need a few games to get into rhythm. Wemby came in like he was picking up right where he left off, only better. It wasn't just the numbers, it was the attitude, the control, the composure. You could tell he was in full command from the first quarter. Every possession felt like it belonged to him. Every miss by Dallas felt like a countdown until he made them pay on the other end. And this is probably just the start. One game in, and he's already tied his 5th highest scoring output. The fact that it was that easy should be ringing alarm bells across the league. He didn't need overtime. He didn't need a wild comeback. He didn't even need high volume from deep. He just carved them up piece by piece until there was nothing left. The box score says 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks. That's enough. But what the numbers don't show is how much he affected every single minute of this game. From the first tip to the final whistle, he was the best player on the court by a mile. Wemby's 3rd season started with one of the most efficient, dominant performances you'll see all year. If this is the version of him that's showing up every night, MVP talk won't just be a discussion, it'll be a countdown, by the way. If you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, but when we talk about Wemby, we got to talk about how good his defense is. Victor Wembanyama's defense stats are completely wild. I mean, if you're just staring at the numbers without knowing who they belong to, you'd think some kind of video game glitch happened. But nope, this is all real, and it's happening in the NBA right now. Let's start with the deflections. He's sitting at 3.7 deflections per game, which puts him in the 91st percentile across the league. That's not just good, that's borderline annoying for anyone trying to get a clean pass near him. His wingspan alone is giving players nightmares, and his timing is making them question their careers. Now check this out, defensive rebounding. Wemby's pulling down 1.7 of those per game, but here's the kicker. That number ranks in the 97th percentile. So yeah, he's not just blocking shots or contesting passes, he's cleaning the glass too, and making sure the other team doesn't get second chances. Rim protection, absolute chaos. His rim defense stat is a -13, which is good, like ridiculously good. That's 98th percentile good. It means players shoot 13 percentage points worse at the rim when he's the one contesting. That is absurd. That's not just altering shots, that's erasing them. That's straight up psychological warfare in the paint, and it's not like teams are avoiding him either. His rim frequency is sitting at 44.5%, which lands him in the 92nd percentile. So they are testing him, and they are failing. Regularly, almost half of the shots he sees are coming at the rim, and he's turning the paint into a no-fly zone. Now let's talk about block percentage, 10.2%. That's right, he's blocking more than 10% of opponent shot attempts while he's on the floor. 1 out of every 10 shots is just gone. That puts him in the 100th percentile, the very top. There's no one doing it better. Then there's his crafted defensive plus-minus, which is sitting at 3.6. That's 99th percentile. This number takes into account all kinds of defensive actions: vertic, rim protection, perimeter defense, rotations, all of it, and boils it down to one tidy number. And Wemby's near the top of the league. His steal rate, 1.1 per game. That's not leading the league or anything, but for a player his size, it's just adding insult to injury. You're not supposed to get pickpocketed by a guy who's 7'4", but Wemby doesn't follow the usual playbook. And then there's the blocks, 3.8 of them, every game. That's not some one-time fluke stat or a single big game. That's a consistent, night in and night out number. The kind that makes guys rethink driving to the rim altogether. Defensive rebounds per game, 9.2. So not only is he contesting and blocking shots, but he's finishing possessions. That kind of cleanup work is crucial for anchoring a team's defense, and he's doing it like it's no big deal. The team's defensive efficiency when he's on the floor is 111.7. Now that might not sound amazing at first glance, but you've got to factor in that this number includes the entire defensive unit. It's mixed team defense, meaning it captures both individual ability and overall effect on team outcomes. And guess what? He still lands among the top 5% of all players in the metric. Let's not ignore the block and steal totals combined either. When you combine 3.8 blocks with 1.1 steals, that's 4.9 stocks per game. Stocks being the mix of steals and blocks. That number alone puts him in an elite defensive category few ever touch. His rotational personal fouls per game, or RPF, is negative 0.3. That might seem small, but it means he's drawing fewer fouls while still being aggressive. That puts him in the 71st percentile. So not only is he blocking shots, he's doing it without getting whistle happy. That kind of control is rare, especially for someone this young. Now here's where things get a little surprising. His versatility rating is 9.4, which lands him only in the 14th percentile. That might sound like a weak spot, but all it really means is that he's not defending every position equally. And honestly, why would you make the guy chase around guards on the perimeter when he's erasing people in the paint like an eraser on a mission? He's not supposed to be out there on the wing. He's built to shut down the rim, and that's exactly what he's doing. Now look at his RADTF, which is basically the adjusted turnover value generated on defense. It sits at 0, which puts him in the 49th percentile. Not amazing, but it's average. And when you add that to the elite numbers he's putting up in blocks, contests, and rebounds, it's just icing on the cake. His defense is also reflected in how the team performs as a unit. Mixed team defense, which combines his ability to stop individual players and how much he contributes to reducing opponent scoring across the board, has him ranked higher than 95% of all players in the league. That's not just solid individual defense, that's elite team contribution. Think about that for a second. More than 95% of the league can't match what he's doing on defense right now. That's a level of influence that reshapes entire offensive strategies. He doesn't just guard a man, he changes the way teams run plays. And it's not like he's a one-trick pony. He's not just stuffing guys in the paint and calling it a day. He's making the right rotations, he's staying vertical, he's moving his feet, and he's not overcommitting. That's a full defensive package, and he's delivering it night after night. Even when players try to drive on him, they're running into a brick wall, not just in the paint, but mentally too. Because once you've had your shot spiked into the stands by Wemby, the next time down the court, you hesitate. You second guess. That half-second delay is all it takes for the defense to recover and reset. And that's what makes his numbers even more impressive. The stats only capture what happens. They don't always show how much he's making players second guess their moves, or how often guys are swinging the ball away from his side just to avoid dealing with him. There's also his consistency. None of this is a flash in the pan. These numbers aren't just a hot week or a nice stretch of games. They've held across the season. He's a constant presence, always hovering near the top of every meaningful defense stat. And the best part is, it's not even all about size. Sure, being over 7 feet tall with absurd reach helps, but Wemby's reading plays, anticipating moves, and using his length at exactly the right time. That's not just height, that's instinct, timing, and intelligence on full display. If you look at just the block percentage again, 10.2%, you realize that's not a stat that happens on accident. That's a number that takes work, effort, and consistency. And to be clear, that's not just the best this year. It's the best of the best. The whole thing comes together like a machine: high-level contest rate, elite rim protection, sky-high rebounding, excellent positioning, and incredibly low foul rates. He's doing all of it, and somehow he's doing it without breaking the flow of the game. Every part of his defense is backed by numbers that show dominance. And yes, sometimes the eye test is fun, but these stats speak loud and clear. Wemby's not just good at defense. He's putting up one of the most complete defensive profiles we've seen in years. But the thing is, we can do the same for his offense. Victor Wembanyama's offensive numbers are somehow just as ridiculous as his defense. If you're only watching him for the blocks and the freakish contests, you're missing the fact that he's quietly putting together an incredibly efficient, high-volume offensive season that makes most veterans look like they're jogging in mud. Let's go straight into the points. He's averaging 24.3 per game. That's already higher than 68% of all players in the league. But that number hits way harder when you realize how he's getting it. He's doing it with a mix of volume, spacing, and shot efficiency that just does not make sense for someone his size. Look at his true shooting percentage, 59.4. That puts him in the 69th percentile. That's not mind-blowing on its own, but combine it with his usage rate, which is 30.9%. And now you've got something spicy. That usage number means nearly a third of the team's offensive possessions end with Wemby doing something. And despite all that volume, he's still scoring efficiently. That puts him ahead of 96% of the league in terms of offensive involvement. He's not just getting touches, he's driving the whole thing. The raw numbers back it up. He's taking 18.6 shots per game and hitting 5.8 two-pointers and 3.1 three-pointer. So yeah, he's not just a post-up guy or a lob threat. He's stretching the floor and knocking down shots from deep like a much smaller player. His three-point attempt rate is 43.5%, which shows how often he's letting it fly from beyond the arc. That puts him dead center in the league, 49th percentile. Pretty wild for someone who should, by all logic, be hanging out under the basket. Now throw in his points per field goal, 1.1. That means he's converting his attempts into meaningful production. even with defenses keyed in on him every single game. His effective field goal percentage is 55.9, which adjusts for the added value of three-pointers, and that lands him in the 71st percentile. That's not just respectable, that's efficient, especially given the kind of shots he takes. He's not padding with layups. He's earning every one of those buckets. Want to go deeper? His points per scoring attempt is 1.2. That's an elite efficiency mark, putting him ahead of 86% of the league. So not only is he scoring a lot, he's doing it without wasting possessions. You give him a shot attempt, and he's giving you something in return more often than not. Now let's talk offensive rating. Wemby clocks in at 114.5. That's how many points the team scores per 100 possessions with him on the floor. That number's strong, but what's even better is the net rating. His net rating is plus 2.8, meaning the team is outscoring opponents by nearly 3 points per 100 possessions when he's out there. That might not sound massive, but in NBA terms, that's gold. That's the kind of margin that turns close games into wins. His on-off numbers are just as telling. The team scores 5.1 more points per 100 possessions when he's on the court versus when he's not. That lands him above 75% of the league in that category. It's a clear sign that his offensive presence is creating actual results, not theoretical impact, not good process, results. Now, if you're wondering about his shot quality, that metric is 55.1, which places him in the 55th percentile. It basically means the shots he's taking are average in terms of expected points, but he's outperforming that expectation. That's where the value lies. He's not relying on easy shots to get buckets. He's hitting tough ones and still staying efficient. Let's shift to passing. His assist numbers are interesting. He's averaging 3.7 assists per game, and that's leading to 8.6 assisted points. His assist rate, the percentage of teammate buckets he helps create while on the floor, is 18.38%. That's solid, especially for someone whose primary job isn't playmaking. It puts him above 73% of the league. His passer rating, though, is 4.1, which sits right in the middle of the pack at 48th percentile. That shows he's not an elite passer, but he's more than capable of finding teammates and setting them up when the defense overcommits. He's not perfect, though. His turnover rate is 11.86%, and his raw turnover number is 3.2 per game. That means out of every 100 offensive actions he takes, about 12 end in a turnover. It's not great, and it places him below average in that stat. He's in the 15th percentile for crafted turnover rate. But again, the context matters. When you're handling nearly a third of the team's offensive load, mistakes are going to happen. And speaking of load, his offensive load is 44.9. That's in the 92nd percentile. That means he's taking on more offensive responsibility than almost anyone in the league. It's not just shooting and passing either. He's creating his own looks too. His creation metric is 7.4, which puts him in the 90th percentile. That measures how often he generates offense without needing an assist. So yeah, this isn't some system-dependent score. He's manufacturing buckets on his own. His portability is 6.2, which is in the 72nd percentile. That measures how well his skill set fits into different types of lineups. So he's not only producing in the role he has now, he could be plugged into just about any lineup and still contribute without needing everything to be built around him. Even when he's not the one finishing the play, his gravity opens things up for everyone else. Defenses collapse on him, and that opens passing lanes, driving lanes, and clean looks for his teammates. That's why his mixed teamwork rating, which evaluates how much better the team performs when he's on the floor, is so high. He's ranked ahead of 96% of the league in that metric. It's a direct result of his presence pulling defenders, stretching the floor, and keeping the offense flowing. He's not hitting the offensive glass much, though. His offensive rebound stat is 0, which puts him right at the 55th percentile. He's not crashing the boards on that end, but that's not his job either. He's usually spacing the floor or working off the perimeter, so he's not often in position to grab those putbacks. That's not a knock. It just shows where he's being used. His free throw rate is 24.3%. That means he's getting to the line on about 1 out of every 4 shots. That's in the 61st percentile. It's solid, and it keeps defenses honest. You foul him, he's going to the stripe and making you pay for it. Games with a positive plus-minus, he's at 47.8%. So just under half the time, his team finishes with a better score while he's on the court than when he's off. Again, that speaks to consistency. He's helping push his team toward winning situations, game after game. And then there's his ball handling rating, 75th percentile. That's incredibly rare for a guy his size. Usually, big men struggle to put the ball on the floor without coughing it up or killing the offense. But Wemby's in the upper quarter of the league in ball handling ability that lets him attack closeouts, drive from the perimeter, and create off the bounce in ways that just should not be possible at his height. Even his crafted turnover percentage, as tough as it looks, is somewhat balanced by how many plays he's making. He's involved in nearly 70 possessions a night. That level of volume and responsibility comes with risk. But even with the turnovers, he's still outproducing them with points, assists, and offensive flow. You look at the whole package, and the numbers don't lie. He's an efficient, high-volume scorer. He stretches the floor, finishes inside, hits from outside, and creates his own shot. He sets up teammates when needed, and he carries one of the highest offensive loads in the league. Despite all that responsibility, he's keeping his efficiency strong, and the team performs better with him on the floor. Victor Wembanyama's offense isn't flashy in the traditional sense. It's surgical, it's efficient, it's a constant threat from all over the court, and the numbers are already putting him in elite territory. Not someday, not soon, right now. And I think Wemby has a real chance to win MVP. Victor Wembanyama's MVP chances this season are actually a lot more serious than most people want to admit. If you only look at the top line stuff, scoring, rebounds, flashy highlights, you might think he's just a good young star. But dig into the numbers, and suddenly the race looks a little different. He's got the production, the efficiency, the defensive dominance, and even the early odds to make a real run at it. He averaged 24.3 points, 11 rebounds, and 3.7 assists last season across just 46 games. That's already a problem for the other candidates. He did all that with fewer games and still managed to lead the league in blocks with 3.8 per game. That's not just statistical noise. That's anchoring an entire team on one end while still being the top scoring option. And let's not skip over the efficiency. His field goal percentage was 47.6, which is solid for a guy who shoots so much from mid-range and deep. His three-point percentage came in at 35.2, and his free throw shooting was a ridiculous 83.6. That's elite for a big man, full stop. His true shooting percentage came in just under 60, which puts him in a strong spot compared to other MVP candidates, especially when you factor in the kind of defensive attention he's dealing with every night. His defensive rating was 107.7. For a guy who also carries a huge offensive load, that's basically unheard of. It shows he's not just coasting on offense and letting someone else handle the dirty work. He's the dirty work. He's cleaning it up himself. Now stack that against someone like Nikola Jokic. Jokic is putting up 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists. Yes, Jokic is still the most complete offensive player in the league, but Wemby's edge is defense. Jokic isn't a shot blocker. He's not covering for guards. He's not contesting shots all over the court. Wemby is. And when you combine offensive firepower with that kind of defensive disruption, the case gets really hard to ignore. Then there's Luka Doncic. He's the scoring engine for his team, no doubt. He'll drop 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists without blinking. But his defense is average at best. Wemby's the guy who can affect both ends at a superstar level. That matters. That's value. MVP is not just about how many buckets you drop, it's about overall impact. Now look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He won MVP last season because he had the stats, the narrative, and his team was a top seed. He averaged over 32 points per game, and his team finished near the top of the Western Conference. That's a big deal. But that means for Wembanyama to win this year, he has to either outperform that or match it while doing things no one else in the league can do, like leading the league in blocks, defending at an elite level, and scoring efficiently as the main option. And he might actually be able to do that. Wemby's usage rate was over 30%. That means almost 1/3 of his team's possessions ended with him either shooting, turning it over, or assisting. That kind of role is normally reserved for guards, guys who have the ball every play. But he's doing it as a 7'3" big man. That's rare. His player efficiency rating last season was around 24.2. For reference, league average is 15. MVP level guys usually sit around 27 or higher, so he's not far off. And if he plays more games this year and the team improves, that number could absolutely take the jump. That's the other piece. Games played. He only played 46 games last season because of the blood clot issue. That hurts his MVP chances more than anything. Historically, MVP winners play at least 65 games. So if he's going to be in the conversation this year, health is non-negotiable. He's got to be out there every week, No exceptions. The team's success also matters. The Spurs haven't exactly been dominant. If they stay in the bottom half of the conference, that tanks his case, no matter how good his stats are. MVP voters reward winning, always have. So the Spurs need to finish top 4, maybe top 3 in the West for him to be taken seriously in this race. But if that happens, if the Spurs put together a winning season and Wemby stays healthy, things start to shift. Because now you're looking at a player who scores 26 to 28 points per game, grabs 12 or more rebounds, dishes out 4 assists, shoots efficiently, and leads the league in blocks, all while being the best defender on a playoff team. And don't forget his age. He's only 21. If he pulls off this kind of season, voters will absolutely consider the future face of the league angle. They love that narrative when the production matches. It becomes part of the vote. Compare that again to someone like Giannis. Giannis is still a monster, scores efficiently, rebounds like crazy, defends at a high level, but he's already won multiple MVPs. That makes voters more likely to look for a new face unless Giannis dominates the season. And if he does not take a big leap in efficiency or team success, Wemby's uniqueness gives him a lane. And yes, Luka and Jokic are still the safer bets. They've been here. They've put in the full season, 80-game, top 3 seed type of performances, but Wemby doesn't need to be traditional. His path is different. He's a two-way terror who can score inside and out, anchor a defense, and play like a guard when necessary. If he does that for 70 games, with the Spurs in a good position, he's going to be hard to deny. Even the betting markets are showing. This isn't a fantasy. Some sportsbooks have listed his odds between plus 1,200 and plus 1,800. That means people are watching. Analysts are paying attention. They see what's coming. And here's where things get really interesting. His net rating. With him on the floor, the Spurs were nearly 3 points better per 100 possession. That's a real shift. His presence moves the needle. When he's playing, the team is better. The gap between when he's on and off the court was more than 5 points. That's not just good. That's rare air. That's MVP territory. Offensively, he's not just a scorer. He creates. His creation metric puts him near the top of the league. His assist numbers are respectable, and he's passing out of doubles with more confidence every game. And his efficiency has only gone up. Defensively, it's already a done deal. He led the league in blocks while barely playing 50 games. He covers for his teammates, switches onto smaller players, and alters everything at the rim. He's the most valuable defender in the league, and it's not particularly close. If he stays healthy and the team rises, that combination of elite defense, high usage offense, and growing efficiency puts him in the middle of the MVP conversation, no matter what the usual suspects are doing. Because the truth is, no one else in the league does what he does. Jokic doesn't defend like Wemby. Luka doesn't block shots. SGA doesn't protect the rim. Giannis is close, but Wemby has the higher ceiling right now. He doesn't have to beat them at their own game. He just has to be so different and so dominant in his own lane that voters can't look away. And that's totally in play this season. So yeah, he's not the favorite. He's not the guy with the track record, the top seed, or the MVP campaign running on autopilot. But that's what makes it fun. He's the wild card, the chaos agent, the 7'3" question mark with perfect timing and a jump shot. And if things break the right way, enough games, better record, higher stats, that question mark could turn into an exclamation point real fast. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.